Hi, everyone. Welcome to Quest Network Services. My name is Christopher Luck, and today we're going to be talking about Windows 10 end of life, and more importantly, about the end of life of different softwares that you may come across from time to time. Okay, so you may have seen this pop up in your email. It's essentially the Windows 10 logo being turned into the Windows 11 logo. And you might think, oh my goodness, the end is near. What am I going to do? Windows 10's support is ending. What am I going to do? And you've probably seen this come up on your screen that says, let's move forward together. On October 14th, 2025, Windows 10 will stop receiving technical support or free updates. You can start now to upgrade or dismiss. You may, in some cases, you might not have gotten that message, or you may have basically gotten a message that says your machine cannot be upgraded to Windows 11. And let's kind of talk about that for a little bit in just a second here. But let me introduce you to me. I'm Christopher Luck, the president and owner of Quest Network Services. I've been in the IT business now for over 30 years. And my job is to help secure my clients' networks and do technical support when they need help with their things. So, Windows 10, what happens if you don't update? Well, a lot of things could happen. No, your computer will not stop working, but you will no longer receive critical security updates that Microsoft provides you, from time to time. So anytime they find a vulnerability in the operating system, they'll patch it with an update, or an issue with the operating system. They'll have an update that'll fix that. Well, after October 14th, you will no longer receive updates from Microsoft. And so what they basically, your options are either upgrade the machine from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and essentially you have to have hardware that can support Windows 11. If you if the machine cannot support Windows 11, you'll get an error message saying that you have to essentially replace your machine. So, and that's something we can help you with. So if you have an aging machine that you need upgraded to Windows 11, or replaced, we can certainly replace the machine and migrate all your data over for you. So I wouldn't wait too much longer after October 14th, because then you're essentially leaving yourself exposed to all sorts of risks that could be out there. So let's talk about how technology end of service impacts your business. So how does the technology end of service impact your business? What does end of service, end of life mean? Why you shouldn't rely on end of service, end of life software or hardware, outdated software or hardware expectations versus reality, end of service, end of life myths, practical steps to address end of service, end of life software or hardware. So, what does end of life service actually mean? Well, when you realize end of life or end of service has reached, it's time for an upgrade. This could mean different things for different products, but generally it means that the manufacturer will no longer provide security updates, bugs, fixes, etc. This could also mean features will no longer be developed and customer support will no longer be available, which means basically when your Windows is out of date, Microsoft will no longer support it. If you try to get technical support from other people, they may decide not to support it because the technology is too outdated. Eventually, your web browser may stop functioning, and you'll get an alert from maybe Google saying, "Hey, the operating system you're using is too old, and it's time to upgrade your machine." To sum it up, you will probably lose all types of support. Why you should rely on end-of-life service, end-of-life software or hardware? Well, Many malware ransomware attacks are successful because they target outdated software. Keeping your software up to date can help you avoid these exploits. Stressful times are at an all-time high, and global happiness is at an all-time low. Outdated systems are insufficient and frustrating to use. Don't let painful, outdated software be the final straw for your employees or your customers. Refresh, alleviate worker stress, and improve cybersecurity. So that's the other thing. If your system is out of date and there's no more security updates, you're essentially leaving yourself wide open for all kinds of attacks and painfulness. Outdated software and hardware. You might think it's fine to use outdated software or hardware that has reached the end of life or service. In reality, it could pull your organization into hot water. While talking about end of life, end of service, you must also know the myths associated with it. Truth number one. So myth one, if it's not broken, don't replace it, don't fix it. Truth number one, nothing could be further from the truth. Unsupported devices and software are frequently targeted and exploited by cyber criminals. Don't leave your company vulnerable to attack due to outdated tech. Refresh your cybersecurity posture and protect your organization. Myth number two, the product will no longer exist. Truth number two, although the product will still be available, it may no longer be supported with security patching, feature updates, or technical support, making it more difficult to keep your IT network and devices secure from cyber threats. Myth number three, I can still use the product until it breaks. Truth number three, while the software or hardware might still physically work, being in an end of life or end of service state means there's no longer a team of people working to not only improve the product, but also look after, communicate, create, and release patches should a new security vulnerability arise for that product. Practical steps to address end-of-life service, software or hardware. Organizations need to prioritize security immediately after identifying end-of-life software, hardware. Work with a reputable vendor like myself who can provide the necessary security protocols and tools to keep your data safe. Also, create a plan to keep any potential security risks to a minimum. As your software hardware nears its end of life, it's important to measure its productivity so that your organization doesn't suffer. Here are a few things you can do to minimize the impact on your organization. Keep track of the software hardware performance. This will help you identify if any issues escalate. Ensure employees who use it are aware of its status. This will help them be more receptive if there are any problems. Have a contingency plan in case the software hardware completely fails. This will help you avoid any major disruptions to your organization. Evaluating long-term needs requires understanding your organizational goals, determining what systems are critical to achieving those goals, and assessing the risk of using an end-of-life system. With this information, you can make an informed decision about whether to upgrade the system. The end-of-life date for a system can be months or years in the future. However, it's important to start planning for the migration before the date nears. That way, you can avoid any disruptions that might occur during the migration process. One of the first steps in migrating to a new system is to test compatibility. You need to ensure all of your data and applications can be moved to the new system without any issues. The best way to do this is to set up a test environment and run some tests. Basically, if you're not sure of what to do and you have some issues with your systems and you need some help with them, reach out to us. If you want to upgrade your existing Windows 10 systems to Windows 11 or need help planning that process, please reach out to us. We are here Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. You can always reach us at 773-761-3555. You can also send an email to info@questinternet.net or go to quest.support to submit a ticket. And I'm going to open the floor up to questions to see if we have anybody that would have any questions regarding our presentation today. I don't see anybody that's submitted any questions. But thank you for joining us today on Windows 10 End of Life. And like I said, reach out to us and we'll be here to help. Have a great day.